Happy Monday, everybody. Ben Dorr here, Executive Director with Minnesota Gun Rights, coming at you live from MGR HQ in Northfield, Minnesota. Guys, I'm going to break down the first day of the 2022 legislative session for you all. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know where you're checking in from all across the beautiful state of Minnesota. It's going to be a big year. I can say that. It's going to be a very big year for gun owners in St. Paul. It's an election year, which drives, well, virtually everything that happens in the legislature. Now, there's going to be all sorts of lecherous politicians who are going to try to screw gun owners over, and Minnesotans. That's pretty classic, pretty commonplace for them up there. But we're going to break it all down here for you guys right now so you know what to expect. I just got done. We saw a whole bunch of press conferences this morning, a bunch of politicians getting up there talking about what they think is most important for Minnesota. And most of it, of course, is not what you want. It's what the politicians want. It's what their pollsters have told them that they should get. So let me know where you're watching from. We have Mark Allen Everson, a guy's a huge patriot, checking in from Hayfield. I'm checking in from Northfield, Minnesota, at our Minnesota Gun Rights headquarters. Let me know where you're watching from. First things first. Okay, so the first day of legislative session, there's basically no action, right? People get up there, they give their platitudes, they give a lot of speeches, they recognize, everybody pats each other on the back, and they do their best to make themselves look wonderful. That's basically always first day of legislative session, is a bunch of back patting. So we got a whole bunch of that today. Real quick though, shout out to Dustin checking in for Wyoming, Minnesota. We have Greg in Claremont. We have Richard says hello from Florida. What are you doing down in Florida? If we have to stay up here and freeze and live with communism, you have to too. I'm just kidding, Richard. I wish I was there with you. We have Doug checking in from St. Paul. We have Todd in Lake Vermilion. We have Cliff in Princeton. Robert checking in from Cleveland, Missouri. And we have Barbara in Pennsylvania. Daryl in Kentucky checking in from all over the country. We love you guys. Thank you for joining us. So here's the first thing. Richard's laughing. He knows I'm right, though. You know I'm right. So first thing that happened this morning, and we've seen a bunch of these different press conferences over the last little while. House Majority Leader Ryan Winkler, he's a total leftist, hates America in so many ways. The guy needs to be educated on what America means. Anyway, so he's the House Majority Leader on the DFL side. He did an interview a few days ago, and he was asked about what the House Democrats were going to do for public safety in 2022. He gave kind of a roundabout answer, didn't necessarily say anything about gun control. It was one of those politician answers where it was an answer but a non-answer, where he said something but it didn't actually mean anything. You know what I'm talking about? They call it the old Washington dippity-doo. And that's what he did. He gave kind of a non-answer, but talked about public safety and some reform and kind of left it at that. Well, today, the Senate Democrats came out and did a little press conference of their own. And Michael Bloomberg's water boy, you all know him by name by now, Senator Ron Latz. He's from St. Louis Park. The guy is just, he's a raging communist. I'm talking in every sense of the word. He's the biggest gun control advocate probably in the whole state, certainly in the entire Senate. He's always the lead sponsor on universal background checks, red flag gun confiscations, the whole gambit. Well, he got up there today and he took his mask off because we're being safe. And he got up there at a press conference today and he gave the speech on what Senate Democrats are going to concentrate on in terms of public safety. Okay. Um, and so he didn't mention anything about red flag gun confiscations. He didn't mention anything about universal background checks. Instead, he went off on kind of a long tangent on public safety, on police reforms. We need big time police reforms, police accountability. But he was very specific to mention how pro police the Minnesota Democrats are, which is very, very telling. In years past, he's always up there just screaming about how badly we need gun control. And now they're up there saying that they want everybody to make sure that Democrats support the police. Very interesting, because that just tells me very clearly that that Democrats are scared of what's coming in 2022. They're scared of what's going to happen here in the Minnesota elections, and of course nationally as well. And it appears they woke up at least a tiny little bit, because they recognized that it's pretty damn stupid to stand up there and talk about how much we need a background check system for firearms purchases when we have thugs, rioters, criminals, looters burning down our police precincts, burning our city, 1,500 businesses burned, looted, or damaged in some other way. And so I don't think that the whole gun control shtick would go over so well in the 2022 election year. And apparently, neither did Senator Ron Latz. So they pretended that they were pro-police, and they talked about police accountability and police reform, public safety, mental health awareness, things like that. We do have to be very careful. We're going to be watching very carefully on any sort of legislation that deals with so-called mental health reform, especially in terms of how it interacts with gun owners. We've seen this many times. They've introduced legislation in the past where it's basically so-called mental health legislation that targets gun owners, targets Second Amendment supporters. So you go into your doctor's office, you got a bad back, and you're saying, "Doc, oh man, this sucks." And the doctor's sitting there going, "Well, how many, do you have any firearms in your house?" And they're going through some checklist, which they often do. Many of us, many gun owners get asked that question. You have any guns in your house? You say, "Yeah, I got guns," and you're wearing, maybe you're wearing a MAGA hat, maybe you're wearing a FJB hat, like I like to wear in Northfield. And they can literally sit there and say that, well, you're probably undergoing a mental health crisis, and from their professional medical opinions, and we've seen what that's worth under Anthony Fauci, then they can say that you are damaged goods, that you're mentally deranged or deficient. And so mental health gun control is nothing more than a target on right-wing Americans, right-wing gun owners, right-wing conservatives. It always has been. So we're going to be watching that very, very closely, um, to see if they introduce any sort of legislation that deals with that. Um, Shelly makes a good point. She says they are lying. Biden and Kamala have both said that they are coming for our guns. They're coming for our country's guns. Don't be deceived. Biden said he's going to have Beto come for your guns. Well, we don't disagree with your statement at all. Of course, these are radical leftists. They lying and deceiving and using propaganda are some of their biggest tools in their arsenal to take away freedom, to gut our Second Amendment, to gut everything. We always hear stuff like that too from Tim Walz. He's always up there. These are the tools in my toolbox to do this and that to help make Minnesota better. Now that's some bullshit, from our governor. And no, we don't trust these people at all, Shelly. It's not what we're saying. Well, all I'm saying is what they were saying today, which, when you read between the lines, can be very telling. So we're going to be watching again very closely on that. And honestly, I think this is one of the first years. I mean, I've been lobbying in Minnesota for many, many years. Been in the St. Paul Capitol 1,000 times. We've seen this so many times, and I think this is the very first time that I've seen Senator Latz get up there, little Ronnie Latz, and he gets up there and he gives a speech about so-called public safety, and he does not mention like all of the gun control bills that he dreams about every night. So I think they're quite concerned about what the 2022 elections are going to bring. And that's a good thing. They should be. They very much should be. Guys, I want to give a big shout out. Brandon is checking in. Michael is checking in from Brandon, Minnesota, says, "Let's go, Brandon." I love the town name, by the way. We have Craig in Forest Lake. Craig is a huge supporter of Minnesota gun rights. We have Josh in Little Falls, Minnesota, checking in, and Mark. So I want to ask you guys right away, if you would do me a favor, share this video with your family and your friends. Just click the share button right now on Facebook and post it there. We're going to be putting this out there for everybody to see. The main source of contention right now in the Minnesota Capitol is House File 2705. We talked about this a couple of days ago. It was formally introduced today. This is Representative Steve Sandell and he's kind of a wacko. He's kind of a wacky guy. But Steve Sandell has introduced a bill that is full blown uh, semi-automatic firearms registration. What it is. He can sit there and say that it's not, but it is. It's 100% gun rights and gun control legislation. It's a bill. Now he says it'll only ban AR-15s. Now that's some crap. We're not going to put up with that stuff. I'm trying to pull up some details on the other computer here. Um, Mark says he's already shared. This bill, guys, is a full blown gun registration bill. Now, usually we call universal background checks, we say that is de facto gun registration. This is full blown. We're going to register every single semi automatic firearm in the state of Minnesota. That's what this bill would do. And we say hell no to that. Gun rights, when these are attacked, when we have gun registration, it leads to gun confiscation. We've seen this in places like Australia. When you get gun registration and the government sits there and, oh, here's a list. I know Roger owns this gun. We know Mark owns a gun. We know Joe and Josh. All of these guys own these different firearms. That's what the government uses to go out and confiscate those firearms. It happened in Australia. It's what they want to do in America. It's what they want to do in Minnesota. Already, states like Connecticut and others on the and other states on the East Coast are already talking about using the NICS data to confiscate firearms. So when these people sit here and say registration's no big deal, you have to register your car, don't you know? Um, yeah, we don't really believe in that either. But we know what registration is. It's just a step towards gun confiscation. We're going to oppose this every step of the way. We'd like you guys to help us, please. There's a link on top of this video for a petition. We'll deliver them to your state representative for you, but it's a petition opposing House File 2705. That's not the only thing the bill would do. The next thing the bill does is bans every single magazine over 10 rounds. So all your 12 round magazines, all your 15, 20, 30 round, these are all standard capacity magazines. Most guns, it's actually kind of rare to find firearms that only accept 10 round magazines. So these are very commonplace, very common use, everyday accessories that most gun owners use. Very common to have a 20, 30 round magazine, and he wants to make all of these illegal. And written in the bill, if it passes, you have 120 days to either render it inoperable permanently, or you can, two, get it out of the state. So give it to your family, your friends in Iowa, Wisconsin, wherever. Or three, destroy it or give it in or pass it into your sheriff's department. This is one giant omnibus bill of gun control, gun registration, magazine bans, the whole gambit. We are going to fight this tooth and nail. Steve Sandell, frankly, should go in and just take the bill back. Just redact it. Just take it back entirely. Just shut the bill down, Steve. It's stupid. It's not the Minnesota way. It's not what anybody wants in this state. And anybody who votes for this garbage is going to face the wrath of gun owners at election time. It's what, frankly, Minnesota gun rights does best, is expose bad politicians for what they did in the election. So, Steve, you're on the list, my man. You're on the list. It was a stupid bill to introduce. You should know better. You should know better. I mean, this is an Ilhan Omar bill. What are you, a 65-year-old white guy? What the hell are you doing introducing a bill like this? You know better than that. Leave it to Ilhan Omar. Leave it to the radical lefties, Steve. You should know better than that. Representative Eric Mortensen says, good thing I lost all of my 60-round drums in an ice fishing hole last weekend. Ooh, we don't lose anything. We don't. We're going to fight for these things. Eric Mortensen is fighting like hell for gun owners in St. Paul. So what we've been talking about here are the big defensive bills and the big defensive agenda items that these people are bringing up in St. Paul. On the other side, We have major pro-gun bills that need to be pushed. Bills we've been pushing for many years. We're going to keep pushing them. Eric Mortensen is the chief author of a phenomenal Stand Your Ground bill. It's a great bill. It's a really fantastic bill. And of course, the Second Amendment Preservation Act, House File 1265. The Stand Your Ground bill is House File 1263. These are two huge pieces of legislation that must be passed. We need these things in Minnesota. A lot of legislators, frankly, introduce pro-gun bills, and they don't really intend to do anything with them. They introduce pro-gun bills so that they can go back to their districts and tell gun owners, hey, you can trust me. I'm a Second Amendment advocate. I'm the lead sponsor on this pro gun bill. And you're supposed to sit there and go, oh my gosh, thank you, so and so and so and so for introducing that pro gun bill. The reality is, many of these people introduce these bills and they have zero intention of ever trying to push them, trying to get them passed, trying to get them through the committee process, trying to get them on the floor for a vote. They're full blown cover bills, is what they are. Not so with Eric Mortensen, not so at all. He introduced these bills because he lives, eat, and breathes freedom like we do. That's why we're very happy to work with him. And he wants these bills to pass, I think, as badly as the rest of us do. So we're going to push like hell for these bills in the upcoming legislative session. Mark is asking what's happening with the SEPA bill. Today's day one, guys. Today was legislative kickoff for the 2022 legislative session. Here's another thing that we have to be careful of. We always have to be careful of this. It's one of the last points I'll make here. It's the short session this year, okay? So last year they dealt with all of the tax bills, the state budget stuff, most of them anyway. They have some bonding bills and stuff to deal with this year, but they pass all of those main bills on the long year, the first year of the biennium. And now we've moved on to the short session, which they say is for all of the social issues. Okay. So these are the years in which gun control, if they're going to pass, or pro gun bills, if they're going to pass, it always is likely to happen during the short legislative session when they're not dealing with this massively bloated and outrageous state budget. So, ordinarily this legislative session is starting a month earlier. It usually starts in the first few days of January, and it's not. It's basically starting February 1 is where it's all starting. So we have to be careful that they don't drop something on the floor, ram this stuff through, and try to get it passed. We have to watch for that very closely throughout this shorter legislative session. That's one more thing to keep in mind. Last point I'll make. Last thing I want to talk about here right now for this breakdown is, as you guys may not know, the Minnesota Senate Republican caucus is under a new leadership. So Senator Paul Kozelka, there's a lot we can say about Paul. He wants to be governor. Anyway, so he's no longer the Senate Majority Leader. They're under new leadership now. Senator Jeremy Miller is now the Senate Majority Leader. So we're gonna have a lot more to say on that in the days and weeks ahead. We're hoping that we see some bold leadership out of Senator Miller. We'd love to see stand your ground law, constitutional carry. We'd love to see these bills get onto the Senate floor for a vote, especially this year. Especially this year. Now, Republicans have controlled the Minnesota Senate during the 2017 legislative session, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. The Senate Republicans have controlled the Senate for all of those legislative sessions, yet they have never put stand your ground or constitutional carry on the Senate floor for a vote. Um, I can just say right now, for Senator Miller and many of the other senators who are watching this or will watch this in the future, or the staff who are watching it, um, it's a really good year to pass pro-gun bills. You have the votes to pass them. You have the votes to pass them in the Senate. Pass the bills. Make the House Democrats choke on them. Okay. Um, that's what you need to do. It's good for gun owners. It's good for the Second Amendment. It's good for Minnesota in every way. And which is most important to most politicians, it's good for you as politicians, as Senate Republicans. It's good for you. It's good for your caucus. It's good politics. It's good stuff to run on in the elections if that's what you're looking for. Passing pro gun bills is a very good way to win if that's what you're trying to do. But sitting on these pro gun bills and walking around and telling the whole state of Minnesota how pro gun you are, while never, ever putting pro gun bills on the floor for a vote, that's not a strategy for victory. In case you haven't noticed, the grassroots have seen through all of that. They're really sick of it, to be totally honest with you. They're sick and tired of being told how pro-gun Republicans are when the Republicans don't ever even put pro-gun bills on the Senate floor for a vote. So we'd love to see some bold leadership out of Senate Majority Leader Jeremy Miller. We think that'd be fantastic to see in 2022. And we're going to be pushing hard for it. So maybe we'll have some discussions with some of those senators in the days ahead here. But that's the political layout right now, guys. That's where we are in St. Paul. We're going to have a lot more updates for you in the very near future. Please do me a favor, join Minnesota Gun Rights tonight, become a member of our organization. We are the hammer that drives the nails in St. Paul. Nobody fights harder than the members of Minnesota Gun Rights. I'm looking at people like Mark in the comment section. I know Josh, these people, Bob Rolfson, these people are pro-gun champions, massive pro-gun champions for the Second Amendment. And so if you're not already a member of MGR, get on board. Go to joinmgr.com. Become a dues paying member. There's nobody else fighting in the Capitol. The national groups who sit there and pretend that they're so involved. I've never seen them. They're not in they're not in the Capitol. Many of them are not up there. They're not fighting for gun owners. Minnesota Gun Rights, it's what we do all day, every day. So go to joinmgr.com, become a member of Minnesota Gun Rights for the 2022 legislative session. Get yourself a membership t-shirt, membership cards. We got patches. We got the whole shebang. Let's use 2022 as an opportunity to drive this agenda forward. If, and I mean, if the Democrats are standing back and they're a little bit afraid to push this type of legislation, now is the time to go on offense. Now's the time to go on offense and hammer back. And that's what Minnesota Gun Rights is absolutely going to be doing in 2022. Greg Peterson makes a good point right here. He says national gun groups equal ghosts who mostly speak platitudes. That's 100% true. There's no lie there, Greg. There's no lie there. They're more than happy to shoot an email into the state and let everybody know what great fighters they are for the Second Amendment. But when the state needs them to actually do anything, they're basically not there. They're basically not there. And I'm talking about all of them, basically. So yeah, invest in your local grassroots gun rights organizations. The Minnesota Gun Rights, what we have done, what our members have done over the last 6-7 years has been nothing short of spectacular. I know that guns, at least in Minnesota, are not quite at the forefront of the conversation anymore. We can be grateful for that. But if you all remember in like 2018, 2019, 2020, before they shut down the Capitol in 2020. For those 3 years, it was an all-out Second Amendment bloodbath. I'm talking all-out war against our Second Amendment. The Republicans were joining in. Democrats obviously were driving the agenda. Um, it was unbelievable. Really, really, it was. And the members of Minnesota Gun Rights sent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of emails. They made the phone calls. We held the biggest rallies for years. We did that, and we bludgeoned these people back into the corner so hard that in many ways it's stopping them to this day. That's what Minnesota gun rights members have done for years now. It's been massively effective. Politicians don't like us very much for it, but that's okay. We don't like them very much as a rule. So that's what Minnesota gun rights is going to do again in 2022. The members of MGR have saved this state. They have saved our Second Amendment in this state. And frankly, there is not a legislator, there's not a politician in St. Paul in the House or the Senate who thinks of the Second Amendment and doesn't stop and think to themselves, what would Minnesota gun rights say about this piece of legislation? Whether it's pro gun bills or gun control bills, the Republicans sit there and the Democrats sit there. If they're talking about guns, they're talking about Minnesota gun rights. And that's something to be very proud of. We are driving this conversation in the state. We are driving this agenda forward. We're driving the gun control back, and we're going to keep doing this moving forward. So if you're not already a member, just swing on over. It's 35 bucks a year, or if you want the Minnesota Gun Rights t-shirt, we'll throw that in for free with our freedom level or higher membership of $75 a year. I don't know about you. I dropped 75 bucks on a couple of boxes of 9mm just the other day. We got to get this done, guys. Join up. Join Minnesota Gun Rights. Help us fight. Help us fight on behalf of your Second Amendment freedoms in 2022. Dave Peterson is shouting, no compromise in Lonsdale. We love you, Dave. Dave is another one of those unbelievable patriots. They're all over in the comment section. Julie Dick, she's a wonderful person. Wendell Thomas is checking in from Ohio. I know Wendell well. He's a huge patriot, a member of Ohio Gun Owners out in Ohio, where we also work. That's what I have for right now, guys. Today was a legislative kickoff. There's going to be a lot more. Now's the time when all these politicians get up there and they start spouting about all these great things they're going to do for the people of Minnesota. We'll see if they deliver anything or if this just becomes another giant attack. As we know, when the legislature is in session, nothing is safe. Our freedoms aren't safe for anything. Now, if you're a pro-lifer, the babies aren't safe. If you love the Second Amendment, your guns aren't safe. If you happen to have, a job that makes a little bit of money, your tax dollars aren't safe. Your wallet isn't safe. If you drive a vehicle, your ability to drive, none of it is safe while these politicians are doing the crap they're doing. So the sooner we get to the end of May and this legislative session shuts down, the better off our freedoms and Minnesota are going to be. So we'll have a lot more updates for you. Big updates, a lot of great things happening, big fights to stop House File 2705, this gun registration and magazine ban bill. We're going to give you a lot more updates on that in the future, guys. For right now, do me a favor. Share this video if you would with your family and your friends. Facebook and the different media sites are always very happy to try to shut down any sort of right-wing America First organizations like Minnesota Gun Rights. So we rely on you sharing this video and for people seeing it on your Facebook feed and on your YouTube and wherever else you guys are watching this at right now. So share this video with your family and friends. Join up at joinmgr.com. I love you. God bless you. I'll be back with more videos in the very near future. Let's fight on behalf of our Second Amendment. Let's protect our freedoms. Let's protect the future for our children. Let's protect everything we have for those who are coming before. My wife is 38 weeks pregnant. We got a baby almost here. We're very excited about it. I love that child. I fight for that baby who I don't even know yet. I fight for their future. I want them to have as much or more than I have ever had. That's why we do what we do. It's for family. It's for our future. It's for posterity. It's for the generations that are yet to be born. It's for the generations to come. That's why we do all this. If you like that, if you like that message, if you love our traditional America First message, if you like our hard hitting, no compromise approach, join us. Go to joinmgr.com. That's all I have for right now. Guys, have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you later.